Hello, I'm just going to give you a quick run through of this lab because it does have multiple steps, as do many of our labs, but it tends to be one that students were a little confused on the past few semesters. So I've clarified some things in the instructions, but I'm also going to give you a quick run through here. So the whole point of this lab is to emphasize the different levels of measurement that you learned about on a previous page. Now, if you didn't go through that material, you need to go through that material before you do this lab. You need to understand what those different levels of measurement are and how each different level of measurement, going from nominal all the way through ratio, adds little bits of information. This lab is designed to help you see the increasing amounts of information as well as identify what those different levels of measurement are. So go ahead and read through all of this information. Again, you need to know and understand what these are. This lab is not meant to teach you what these different levels of measurement are. It's helped to reinforce that information, give you examples of what they are, and really help you understand that because you need to know this information as we proceed through the semester. So one little note here, make sure you read through this. This is talking about a Likert scale, which in the world of social sciences, we typically consider that an interval level of measurement. Now, if you remember the interval level of measurement, it's categorizing, it's ranking, but it is also adding to it this idea of equal intervals. Now, are these really equal intervals? That could be debatable, but in the world of psychology, we consider it that, so we can use Likert scales as an interval level of measurement and do specific types of statistics. So the first thing you're going to do is complete this Google poll, and it's going to come up here, and you're just going to go through and you're going to read through the instructions, of course, and answer the questions. And so there's going to be 4 different categories, starting with favorites. You simply answer the question. Then please read through this information. Think about the level of measurement that information is giving you. Is it just categorizing, which would be nominal? Is it categorizing and ranking the types of restaurants? Is it adding to that a rating on a scale with an equal interval? Or does it have a true zero with a rating on a scale? So keep that in mind, think about that, and then you're going to answer that question and tell me why. So, because I really want you to think about that. I've added that in this semester to the lab because we're going to come back to that when you answer kind of the reflection questions on this Google poll and this activity. So make sure you fill out the entire thing. Without filling out this Google poll, you will not get points on this lab. Required, and you need to have completed the poll before your group turns in the lab. That's important because I need to see that everybody is trying to understand this material. Now, when you're done, it's telling you here that you're going to need that response receipt that I just mentioned, right? And so you're going to go to your OCC email address, and it gives you a couple of different ways that you can take a screenshot of that Google response receipt. And we're going to be using these a lot this semester, so get used to that idea of going to that OCC email address and getting these response receipts. Then, after there's been at least 10 responses, and you should work with your group to coordinate when you're going to go in and assess the work. You want to do these, answer the questions individually. You're going to pull up this Word document, again, read through the instructions, and then it's going to ask you some more questions. So the idea here is, like for the first one, it says this information comes from the pie graph in the Google form response. So what's going to happen is you can go back to that Google form, click the link that's in the assignment page, and when you do that, this is going to come up. And I accidentally deleted all the responses before I started recording this video, so I had to go in and make one up. So you're going to click on that, and then it's going to give you a graph. Now you can see here when I kind of hover over it, it tells me there's only one response. That was mine. I just kind of went through quickly and did it. But when you come back, you're going to wait for at least 10 responses, and there should be varying bits of information. And those are the percentages that you're going to record for this answer. Report the percentage of students that listed the restaurant as their favorite. Then you're going to identify the level of measurement. So that information is all going to be in those responses. Then you're going to go to the ranking. You want to find the mode. So that's the most common. So I provide a little example graph here, but you're going to go to, again, the response sheet, and you're going to see here you'll have more. Yours will look more like this. And so I said, so here for McDonald's, for this graph, McDonald's, the most frequent, the mode was third. And you're going to list that. For here, for In-N-Out, it was first. You're going to go to your graph and you're going to see. And you're going to provide me a screenshot of that graph, okay? Yours will have all 5 restaurants listed. Again, identify the level of measurement. So again, this last one is again thinking about what, with nominal to ordinal to ratio to interval, which type of measurement is this, and what kind of information is being added with those types of measurement. Then you're going to go to the Likert scale section and look at the results for that. And for that, you will need to go to the Google Sheet that was automatically created. And you can see, going back to the lab page, you can see when you go back here, here's an example of that pie chart. So it shows you here where you can copy it. There's this little icon here in the corner. And if you click on that, it'll allow you to copy it, and then you can just paste that right into your answer sheet. Next, you're going to download the Google Sheet responses. And you just click on this link, and that'll come up. And again, it won't have it will have the responses for your class. And you'll need that Google Sheet on the page, on the assignment page. I give you directions for creating the median. You're going to take that Google response sheet and you're going to name it with your for your own group. You're going to save it to your own Google Drive, personalizing it so that you're not changing it for everybody else. And you're going to create a median formula so that you can get the median that it is asking for here. So that video shows you how to do that. And for each one of these questions, we're going to a different section of that Google form. So the easiest thing is going to be to use the sum formula to get that answer, because you need the total number of times. If you look at what it says here, you need the total number of times students ate at a specific restaurant over the total number of times students ate at all restaurants. So we come here and we get our sum formula. So you just go to the sum sign and you click sum, and the formula pops up here. Now we need to highlight all of the cells that we're interested in, and we get 61. And then you can either do that for each 5, or if you do this and you drag it across, but you can drag it across, and then we have the sum formula for each restaurant. Now I need the total number of times students ate at restaurants. So I'm going to get the sum of that. And you might be thinking, well, I don't know how to use all this stuff. I've never done any of this in Google Sheets or Excel or anything. It's a skill. It's a good skill to have. And that's one of the things. Now you can add that to your resume or your CV that you've used Google Sheets or you've used Excel. You're going to have a lot of those things at the end of the semester that you're going to be able to add to that resume or CV because these are new tools. You've worked with Google Forms, you've used Google Sheets, because you're going to create graphs and tables and all these different things, and those are all skills you can add to a resume or CV. So now, remember the formula that I wanted to get the number of times a student ate at McDonald's over the number of times students ate at all restaurants. I can then come back here and I can calculate that. I can put an equal sign, and I can click on the number of times students ate at McDonald's divided by the total number of times students ate at any restaurant, and I get a number, 0.27. That's my ratio. I could times it by 100 if I wanted the percentage. It's not going to work the same to drag, and I don't know Google Sheets well enough to know what the trick is. In Excel, you put a little dollar sign. Here, it does not seem to work in Google Sheets. I'm sure there is some trick. But hey, you've learned something new. You've learned how to get the sum of a column. You've learned how to get the sum of a row. And you've learned how to put into your own formula in Google Sheets. And those are the numbers that you want to put in for this last question. List the frequency of dining for each restaurant here. It's that proportion, that ratio. And then you're going to answer these other questions as well. And then you come down here, you're going to draw some conclusions from that information. Okay, so what conclusions can you make about fast food preferences based on those 4 levels of measurement? Going from, okay, we know the percentage of people that have a certain restaurant is their favorite, up to now we know the number of times people have eaten at a certain restaurant. So how is that giving us more information, or is it giving us more information? So that's what you're kind of thinking about and reflecting on those level of measurements and what you did for this lab for this question. This is just telling you, don't forget to attach the Google response graphs and the Google Sheet. You can put those graphs with the earlier questions where they're required, or you can put them here. And then don't forget a screenshot of your Google Poll response receipt. All students in the group need that response receipt, and you need to have completed that Google form before the lab has been turned in. All right, hopefully that helps clarify some things. I think it's a fun lab. It's a good way to, again, reinforce what those levels of measurement are.